Hi there, let's get started with the urinary system. So the urinary system, I put this photo in here for you just to kind of get a big idea of what we're talking about here. I think everyone is pretty familiar with the fact that the kidney filters waste out of our blood. Kidney does a lot of other incredible things with blood pressure and controlling substances. So we have the kidney, and then we have the ureter coming down. So those are paired, right? Because we have two kidneys, two ureters. And the ureters are going to take us into the bladder. And then the bladder is going to be leading into the urethra, which then allows urine to pass out of the body. So we'll dive into two of these moving on. So I just wanted to go over with you the kidney. There are some just very basic layers to the kidney. And so we have the superficial to deep layers. So we have the capsule. So that's a very thin fibrous capsule on the outside, superficial most. Then we go into the cortex, and then finally into the medulla. So the medulla is the deepest part of the kidney, the deepest layer. So here we go, the renal capsule right on the outside here. Next, renal cortex, like we just said, and then finally the medulla, which is the innermost layer. So the renal cortex has these columns in it. You can kind of see them radiating out through here. The renal medullary pyramids are going to be actually allowing the urine formation, and then it eventually travels out. I'll go over that flow in just a second here. But the medullary pyramids, the very tip of them here is known as the renal papilla, and the renal papilla leads into the minor calyx and then into the major calyx. So the major is when multiple minors kind of dump into it. And then another just general structure here is the renal hilus. So the hilus is this little barred area here. So that's where all of the large communicating areas of the kidney are. So you have the renal artery, renal vein, and then your ureter. Remember, the ureter is going to be taking the urine from the kidney into the urinary bladder. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so here's the flow. So your urine is produced, and then we have it going through the medullary pyramid, through that renal papilla, which is the tip of the pyramid, um, through the minor calyx, dumping into a major calyx, into the renal pelvis, and then finally into the ureter. So that renal pelvis is, again, just a dilation or a widening area where all of this urine is going to be dumping into to then exit the body. Next, we have the bladder, looking at it in a little bit more detail. So with the bladder, we have obviously the ureters who are coming in and dumping the urine into the urinary bladder. So the urinary bladder is going to be holding the urine. So we have just the main largest part here is the body. The fundus is going to be kind of just around the urethra, where the urethra is down here, kind of just down at the inferior most portion. The orifices of the ureter, so this is just where the ureters are opening up into the bladder, so you can find those. Then, like I said, the the internal urethral opening is going to be just where the urethra comes in here and attaches, and you'll see that opening if you opened up a bladder. And then the trigone, so the trigone is the specialized area here. It's a little triangle, and the boundaries for it are the internal urethral opening and then each of the ureteral openings here. So that's the area of your trigone. It's very specialized at sensing the expansion level of the bladder, and it is like a specialized muscle type there. And then the detrusor muscle is actually just like the lining of the bladder wall muscle. And yeah, leading down to the urethra. And then the internal urethral sphincter is going to be closely associated here, just between the bladder and the urethra. That's all I have. Thanks for watching, and contact me if you have any questions.